Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Moretti. I'm a dating and relationship coach and matchmaker. I help clients one-on-one, I help couples, I have a group coaching program, and I also have a course on my website. I wanted to offer YouTube videos and have a place where I can do more long-form content, where I can have more time to answer your questions more in full, to, tell you a little bit more about myself and my personal stories and my journeys so that you guys can get to know me and I can have more time to really share more with you, and hopefully some of it resonates with you and hopefully some of it can help. So with that, I had some questions that came through Instagram, and I'm going to go ahead and answer some of those here. So the first one that I got in was age gap thoughts. 39-year-old male, 20-year-old female, friends for 2 years. So I think age gaps are totally fine, and it's totally dependent on who you are and what you're looking for. I usually say around 10 years is probably a good range, but I do believe that the older that you get, the more that range can kind of expand. I also think it's just really important to kind of know where you are and where they are in their life, what phases they're going through, where they're at, how self-aware they are, how much they know themselves and what they want out of a relationship, but also where they are at with their life and like what phase they're in, what they're wanting, right? What are your goals? What do you want out of life, right? Are you guys both in the phase where you want to settle down and have kids, or are you in a phase where you want to focus on your career and you're not even thinking about that, right? So being realistic about where you are and where you want to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years is truly, truly important, right? Having those conversations up front is really helpful, to be direct and set clear expectations between the both of you, and to see if there could be compatibility in that way. There could be a huge age gap, but if you're both looking for the same thing and want the same thing out of life, and your vision of a perfect day or week or weekend is the same, then maybe it works, right? And we also have to think long term, right? So maybe it works today, but how is it going to look like 20 years from now, 30, 40, 50? Can you really kind of put yourself in that scenario and try to kind of play it out as best as you can? And are you going to be okay with whatever that means as people kind of change and evolve with age? So that is what I will say in relation to that. If you are the 39-year-old male and you're seeing the 20-year-old female, no offense to 20-year-olds, I think 20-year-olds are great. But does that person know themselves enough, and are they emotionally intelligent enough and mature enough to give you what you want and need out of a relationship? Maybe yes, there are some really mature 20-some-year-olds. Maybe she's had a lot of life experience so far and she really knows herself and what she wants. But only you can decide, and so ask really, really good questions about what they're looking for and what they're seeking, and be true to yourself and what you want and need as well. Okay, the next question is, mom is avoidant. How do you heal and let go without her willing to apologize or reconcile? Okay, so this is a very complex and nuanced discussion. These are just my thoughts and opinions. You can go ahead and take them or leave them. My experience with my personal growth and story is that you do not need your parents to acknowledge or recognize the impact that they've had on your life. You don't need them to apologize. You don't need them to change in order for you to do your own healing and heal your own wounds and your own attachment style and become more secure for yourself, right? We've all been dealt certain things in our life, and it's our job to take responsibility for where we're at today and where we want to go, right? And only you can do that. And you know, your parents, while it might be really nice for you to hear them acknowledge, you know, how they impacted you, or even the pain that they might have inflicted in your past, and that you might feel seen and understood by that, you don't need that to kind of give yourself that own acknowledgement and validation, and give yourself the needs, you know, of those unmet needs from the past, so that you can become more secure and move on and attract a better life for yourself, right? That's our own work. Like, they did the best with what they had and the tools that they had and what they knew at the time, right? And so if you can understand that, you can sometimes approach them with a little bit more compassion, to say, you know, maybe they walked so that I could run, right? Like, maybe how they, you know, survived their own life and what was dealt to them was actually really brave and a really big step forward for their time. And so now they took it here and I can take it there, right? It's our job to kind of break generational patterns and build a better life for ourselves, right? We come into this life to experience different things, learn different things. So I don't know if you're spiritual or not, but that is what I believe. So it's up to you, and you don't need them to know that or see it for you to be able to heal. And you know, if it's tough for you to be around them, if they don't acknowledge it or don't change, then that's for you to really decide, you know, in what capacity are you able to have them in your life, so that you can appreciate the connection that you do have and the time you do have together. And then it's up to you to like check in with yourself and know, okay, I'm going to take care of my own energy. I'm going to take breaks, or I'm going to put boundaries in place to really protect me and my space and my energy and all those good things, so that, you know, I can have enough of that goodness while I'm around them, but still kind of protect myself and what feels good to you. And yeah, if she's avoidant, she might not have the emotional capacity or tools to connect with you in the way that you want and deserve. Her parents might not have instilled those regulation practices, or being in tune to her own inner world or her own emotions, being able to hold space for other people's emotions. So that's something that you can't just explain to someone and then they get it, right? Like, she would have to really do the work to heal, to become more secure, right? And but that doesn't mean that you don't deserve it, that you aren't lovable, right? That you're good enough, you know. It's not you. Okay, sending you a lot of love. How to be clear and direct, asking an avoidant, what are we, after 5 months of dating. Okay, so without knowing more information on maybe their sensitivities or yours, or what you want or what they want, you might hate this answer, but I think the easiest way is just to ask in a direct, gentle, kind way. You know, and sometimes when we want something, but we're afraid of what they might think or what they might want or what they might say, we kind of defer it to them, and we ask the question, and then we're like hoping and praying that they say the thing we want. So an alternative to this is, I would recommend just owning your truth being vulnerable and stating what you want, right? So it could sound like, wow, like I've really been spending, like having a lot of fun and a good time getting to know you. And I really love our connection. And, you know, I'm at a place where I think I would be willing to explore and would like an exclusive relationship. You know, would you be open to that? Or what are your thoughts about that? And then just see what they say. And then maybe, even if they're not there yet, maybe you guys can kind of negotiate and like check in with where you're at to see if that's even a potential goal of theirs. Like, do you even know that they want a committed relationship at this point? If you haven't asked that question, then that's a good question to ask, right? Should all go well here? You know, is a committed relationship something that you're looking for and pursuing? Because if not, then you need to know that, right? So you can make the decision for yourself of whether you want to keep being in this connection or not. Yeah, so practice being vulnerable. Say it in a way that's authentic to you, and then see where they stand. You know, if you guys are meant to be, like, I truly believe you can't say or do the wrong thing, right? If they're going to get all, you know, avoidant or fearing the commitment or feeling pressured or feeling smothered or, you know, being uncomfortable with intimacy when you say it, you could say it perfectly and they're still going to have that reaction. That's on them, not on you, right? So definitely speak up for what you want, because you deserve knowing sooner rather than later. And I think 5 months is definitely a reasonable time to ask that question for sure. Can one heal into healthy attachment style and stay there forever? What a great question. So the easy answer, I just want to say yes, absolutely. That's what I work with my clients on, to help them heal their insecure attachment wounds or any other wounds that they might have, so that they can be more secure and be, you know, navigate relationships with more ease in their life. I will say, you know, even secure, you know, we're all on a spectrum. Even secure people have anxious and avoidant tendencies in certain moments, right? And it's all relative too. So I might be secure, but if I'm with someone who's really avoidant, that might pull out some anxious tendencies in me, just for the sake of the dynamic that's created between the two of us. Or, you know, if I'm secure but I'm with someone super anxious, that might make me a little bit avoidant, but that doesn't mean I have an avoidant base, right? So you know, attachment dynamic is created between two people, right? So that's always going to exist, whether you're secure or not. But you might react differently to encountering a person who is insecure, right? You might say, okay, I can deal with this. You know, I can roll with the punches. I can be patient. I can be kind. I can be compassionate. We all have our stuff. Or is it to the point where it's so extreme that I say, okay, you know, this just might not be a good fit. And that's something that I'm not willing to put up with or do. But I will say that attachment wounds generally are created from our childhood, from infancy, right? Within the first 2 years of our lives, but are also impacted by our relationships and events that happen throughout our life, right? So, you know, I could be really secure, but then have a relationship with someone who's extremely avoidant, and that might impact my attachment to make me more secure, or even make me more anxious, or make me more avoidant even sometimes. And so it's something that you kind of have to constantly check in to see what's coming up for you and how your attachment is evolving. And you might have to continue doing work based on things that might happen for you, right? You might get into a relationship that breaks your heart, or like something really bad happens, and then you're afraid of intimacy. Maybe you become emotionally unavailable. So then you have to heal that, right? Like, we're not static beings. So that's the answer for attachment, but anything else that we encounter in our life, right? We're always growing, we're always adapting. and we're always responding to kind of what we are experiencing in any given moment. But yes, absolutely, you can become secure. This is what I help my clients heal. And you can absolutely work on this to have a secure pace, which is going to help you no matter what comes up in your love life. The next Q&A question that I received from Instagram is, struggling to move beyond someone who said they could not commit. I'm really sorry to hear that. When someone does not kind of meet you right in your feelings, it's hurtful and it sucks. And sometimes we need to grieve that. I'm not going to make it any easier for you to move on. Sometimes we need to just feel our feelings and do that. And also, I don't want you to get hung up on someone that can't meet your needs and can't give you what you want, right? Because you are worthy of someone amazing who is going to think you're amazing, and who, you are their literal dream girl or dream guy or whatever. And they're going to want all the same things that you want, right? So I also don't want you to get wrapped up in, oh my gosh, that could have been my person. They had everything I wanted. And it's if it's not them, then I'm alone and I'm not going to get someone as good, right? You can get someone as good, but also better, right? Because you want all that, all the good stuff that they had, plus that they are emotionally available and want a relationship and want to commit and are fully capable of that and ready for that and excited for that, right? That's what you deserve. Do not settle for anything less, right? So there is someone out there that will have all of those things and probably more, who's better suited for you, right? So this person, they just weren't your match, right? You weren't meant to be, because if you were, you would be together, right? Or you will find your way back to each other maybe. But right now, you deserve someone who matches your effort and your interest. And if you tend to pine for people who don't want you, right, then maybe that's something to kind of look into, that I help my clients with as a coach, to, see where that pattern comes from. Is that a past wound that, maybe you need to heal, right? What is it in you that constantly wants people that don't want you back? That's a thing, right? So maybe it's looking into what the inner child feels when you're yearning for that person, and where do you feel in your body? Maybe what's the earliest memory that you felt that in your body, and then what does that younger version of you need? If they had the perfectly attuned person in front of them, what would they say? What would they do? What's the unmet need there, right? And start healing that wound so that you can feel whole and complete within yourself and attract from a place of being whole and not needing someone to kind of complete you. I don't want to make assumptions about you. I'm just giving examples in case it resonates. But you absolutely deserve something better, and try to move your focus on what you do want, right? And things that bring you joy and make you happy, instead of what you don't have. Because if you keep thinking on lack and what you don't have, right, it's kind of like a spiral effect of the universe keeps bringing you more lack, right? And more things that show you that they're not choosing you, right? So try to focus on, distracting yourself with things that bring you joy and good feelings and bring out your self-worth and make you feel confident and all that goodness. Okay. DA keeps messaging but doesn't seem to want to meet up. Why is he doing this? So dismissive, avoidant, keeps texting, but doesn't seem to want to meet up. So I have no idea why he's doing this. I'm not a mind reader, but I think the bigger point here is why are you tolerating this? He's doing it because you're letting him. Like, my guess is that you are a high quality woman who has a lot to offer and is beautiful, and he loves your attention. He feels great when you give him attention. It's like he gets all this good stuff from you, even though he doesn't want to see you, right? He might not be that into you, but he loves like that feeling of getting your attention and knowing that he has you, and like knowing that you're an option, maybe. Or maybe he's scared, or maybe he's hesitant. I don't know, right? But none of those are reasons for you to like keep holding on to the possibility of him, right? Like, I mean, if I were you, and what I want for all my high quality clients is someone who is decisive and wants to pursue you and is clear about what they want and go after it, right? So you deserve someone who asks you out and makes the move and knows what they want. So why are they doing it? I don't know. Who cares? Like, they're not giving you what you want. Otherwise, you wouldn't be asking this question. So move on and let someone else take you out. Go find someone who knows what they want and isn't afraid of intimacy and is a little bit more secure to like make a move. The other option is to ask, hey, like, we haven't spoken in a while. Like, what are your intentions here? Like, why did you reach out? Has something changed? See what he says. Okay, the next question is, how do you know it's love and not attachment? How do you build emotional intimacy? How do you build emotional intimacy? Okay, this is a big question. Let me see. So how do you know it's love and not attachment? I don't know if my answer is going to be helpful, because it's kind of like one of those things where like you know it when you see it. From my personal experience, love is not urgent, right? Like, from my experience, attachment is like one of the most painful things I've ever experienced in my life, right? It's that person that really tugs on all of your childhood wounds, all of like those familiar dynamics of your past that you want to like unconsciously recreate so you can create a new ending and finally prove that you're worthy or lovable or good enough or all the things. So it's like attachment love feels dire. It's like urgent. It's like, I need you to fulfill this need for me so that I can feel good and worthy. And, you know, it really does kind of elicit all of our inner child wounds and our stuff from our past. It's probably, you know, when you feel intense chemistry and attraction, when it's like lightning bolt, like immediate, that's probably an attachment wound, right? An attachment or some kind of like familiar conditioning or functioning that you guys have, right? Like maybe they remind you of the dynamic with your mom or with your dad, or like you're a people pleaser and they do all the things that like make you want to people please, right? It's just creating this like dynamic that's familiar in you, and that's what's creating instant chemistry and attraction, right? But that's not healthy, secure love, right? Take that with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean you're compatible for the long haul. You know, healthy love and building of emotional intimacy means, you know, looking for a partner that like wants the same things as you, like wants to share the same values that you have, has the same, wants to do the same things with you like on the weekend, or at least that you're compatible on that front, that you guys can have conversations and it flows and you guys can have fun together, that you guys can support each other. And building of that healthy, secure emotional bond means really giving yourself the time to like get to know someone, right? With time, like not rushing so soon, and because that's kind of like when it gets really, really hot really quick, and then all of a sudden like it just fizzles right away, right? So really taking your time with it, asking good questions, being intentional with your wants and your needs and desires, setting boundaries in place, right? When you ask people for what you want, or you put boundaries in place, and you ask the hard, difficult questions, or you have a hiccup and you guys are forced to kind of like communicate through that misunderstanding or conflict or whatever, like that's when you really get to know a person to see if you're compatible. That's when you see their emotional intelligence, whether they have emotional like tools and self-awareness and communication tools to really like be curious and communicate and make things work, right? Like if you put a boundary in place and that person makes you feel weird for putting in place, or like you're the problem, or like pressures you, like that's a red flag, right? Like that's not a good sign. If they can't respect your boundaries now, or they can't meet your needs now, they're not going to once you're in a full-fledged relationship, right? So in those moments, you see exactly who that person is. It's not, oh, they're being weird now, or like not meeting it now, but once they really like me and they commit, then they'll give me everything that I need. Like, no, this person is showing you exactly who they are from the start, right? So it's really paying attention to those little moments that add up to like who a person is, right? A healthy partner is going to hear your boundaries and say, oh my gosh, of course, like let's do that. Like they're interested in something meaningful and significant and like maybe long term. They're not going to care how long they have to wait to, I don't know, be intimate, or that you don't kiss on a first date or whatever. They're going to want to make you feel comfortable and relaxed and safe, because they want to get to know you and they want to see if this is, a good fit and a good match, right? So, put boundaries in place, like check things out, be curious, and anything that you are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did this or said that, like that's an opportunity for you to lean in and ask the questions so that you know for sure, right, what you're picking up on. And that way you don't have regrets. So giving yourself the chance to build like a healthy pace and relationship, like go slow. If you want it to last, my best advice is to go slow. I mean, yes, like there are many people who have gone fast and it has worked, right? But based on what I've seen with many of my clients, like set yourself up for success, go slow, and build that healthy partnership. And to be honest, sometimes with the healthy, secure relationship, it kind of feels boring. It kind of feels bland. Someone who is like super emotionally available and just shows up for you and is consistent, that can feel really bland and like no chemistry for someone who is used to those like high attachment bonds and wounds, like those relationships with the really high highs, but also that come with the really low lows of just like the high drama, high chaos, like push pull, like will they, won't they, right? When something is consistent, it's almost like feels too easy. It feels like, ugh, so you kind of have to check yourself. If you want something healthy, you kind of have to stay in it. And even if you don't experience chemistry right off the bat, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it means that they are securely attached and emotionally available. Give it a few dates to see if that attraction chemistry can build. I've seen it happen many times with my clients where like the first date, they're like, I had a good time, but like just didn't, feel that connection. And then maybe by the fourth or fifth date, like can't keep their hands off each other, right? So give yourself a chance. If you're really being pushed to like prove yourself, prove your worth, like get them to like you, or like prove like that you are sovereign, and like if you're trying to prove something with them, probably an attachment wound. And that's not to say that things are black and white, right? Like if I'm a little bit anxious, maybe someone who's a little bit avoidant is okay, as long as we can kind of work through things and communicate and meet each other's needs, and respect each other's kind of insecurities, or, you know, ways that we kind of needed to adapt, so that we can be safe and secure and commit to this relationship where we can kind of like both get our needs met and be happy and fulfilled, right? But if I'm like a little bit anxious and someone's extremely avoidant, they don't have the tools to like meet me where I need to be for a partnership, then that's a recipe for really painful attachment wounds to come up. And that kind of creates a dependency, right? Where it's not equal, it's not balanced, it's not healthy, but you're trying to like prove or obtain something that maybe just isn't compatible. So yeah, maybe it's like asking yourself the question, like, do you really love them? Do you want the best for them, no matter what that is, and you want them to be happy? Or do you like really need them to do something so that you can feel something in you to meet an emotional need of yours? Just food for thought. Okay, I think this is the last question I'm going to touch on for today. How do you get over a breakup? Just start dating again. Okay. So, number one, I'm really sorry that you're going through this breakup. Well, I'm not going to say I'm really sorry, because who's to say what is good for you or bad for you? Maybe this is a good thing in your life. But I am sorry for any struggle or pain that you are working through in relation to this breakup and getting over this person and this relationship, and, you know, grieving the potential future that you thought you might have with this person. There's no easy way through breakups. So, you know, all the times that grief is meant to be felt, right? Feelings are for feeling. And you need to feel them fully, right? To process through them. What we resist persists, right? So allow yourself the time to fully process this and grieve. Otherwise, like if you keep things inside, it's just gonna leak out in future relationships, right? Or you're gonna continue to be hung up on them, and then you're gonna compare future partners to them and not really give yourself a chance to move on and find someone that's good for you. So I'm gonna go through a handful of things that I focused on in my last breakup in case they're helpful for you. And I guess before I launch into that, I will say, no, I don't think just launching back into dating is the answer. I think sometimes it can be, right? If maybe you have been out of the game for a really long time and you're avoiding dating to like maybe avoid certain emotions that are coming with dating or certain fears, then yeah, sometimes it's kind of like, exposing yourself to it to kind of get over it, like we learn through action. So like that could come up. But if you're like fresh out of a breakup, I would recommend taking the time to kind of fully process it. Now, that doesn't mean that like, I need you to be single for like 3 months. Like, no, I don't have any rules or guidelines. Like my last breakup was a 4-year relationship, and I kind of grieved it fully after 2 weeks, right? But I've then been in shorter relationships where it took me like 2 months to grieve something that wasn't even that long, right? Maybe because there were attachment wounds at play and things that I really had to heal and I was just really sad, and it was like really fresh. Whereas like maybe with the longer relationship I had, I kind of pre-grieved it a little bit in coming to the conclusion that we weren't the right fit. So obviously know yourself and know your own situation and what that means for you. But so here's some tips. So number one, practice self-compassion and kindness. Like, you're going through something really hard. I want you to love up on yourself as much as you possibly can right now. If you can't do it now, then when can you? Right? Like, be as compassionate and kind to yourself as you would with like a friend or a child or a pet going through something hard, right? Like, love up on yourself and be kind and be gentle. Like, don't judge yourself for where you're at with things, for how you feel, for how long it's taking. Like, grief is not linear. Like, you could be doing well for like a whole week and be like, oh my gosh, I'm not even thinking about them and I'm doing so well and I'm going after new things and whatever. And then you like see something that reminds you of them or your relationship, and it like brings you back to your knees. And that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Like, that is just grief. Grief is not linear. And you are going to ping pong through all of the stages of grief, right? Like denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. You're gonna ping pong through all of these things until each of them is fully processed and flushed out. So definitely make sure that you let yourself feel your feelings. You know, healthy distractions are okay here and there, but like, don't launch into, you know, alcohol, food, just, you know, new connections to kind of gloss over things and then not fully process what needs to be processed, because that will impact your future relationships, unfortunately, or your ability to get over this more quickly. So what I would also say is, for your feelings, this is a tip that helps me. When a feeling comes up, I give it space to be felt and I label it. I check in with what I'm feeling and I say, oh, this is sadness. Oh, this is, you know, grief. Oh, this is anger, right? And I pay attention to where I feel it in my body. It's like, oh, it's in my chest, or oh, it's in my throat, it's in my stomach, right? And I'll even sit there and be like, and I got this from Corey Muscara, right? It's like, invite your feelings in and be like, okay, sadness, you're welcome here. You know, you can stay here for as long as you want. And when we really fully accept that feeling is there, it can be processed. When we resist it, we don't want it to be there, and we're like forcing our way through it, it just keeps holding on and keeps going, right? So invite it in, welcome it, allow it to be there. You can even talk to it and say, you know, sadness, what is it that you need from me right now? And pay attention to what comes, right? Because your body knows, right? You a lot of times will get the answer of what you need in that moment. And it can be simple, right? I need to go for a walk. I need to call a friend. I need to just have compassion for myself and like be gentle with myself today. I will also say, I think it's Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor from Harvard who said, on average, feelings last 90 seconds, right? That is if we actually feel it and let it process. And of course, you know, some feelings you might need to just like sit there and cry for 20 minutes, right? If it's a big breakup, right? But on average, feelings last 90 seconds, right? So that's if we actually allow them and like run its course. The alternative to that, a lot of times why we think our feelings last longer, is because we create a story about it, right? So if I'm feeling, let's say, sad about my breakup, and I'm like, there's a difference between like, wow, I'm really sad because I really thought they were the one, and, you know, I'm sad because I'm grieving the future I thought we were gonna have together, and, you know, I miss them, and yeah, I'm just really feeling sad and lonely, and just like feeling that. That's different than, oh my gosh, I'm really sad. They broke up with me. Like, I'm not good enough. This means I'm never going to find someone. Oh my gosh, how long is it going to be before I find someone else? Like, oh my gosh, could this really happen for me? Oh, if only it's because I did this wrong. I can't believe I did that. If only I did this or that. Like, if only I didn't say this. Like, if you get into that story, that many times creates a spiral and a rumination that further perpetuates the sadness and the struggle and the suffering, right? So now I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to find someone. Well, how is that going to make you feel if you have that thought? Probably pretty lousy, right? So beware of the stories that you're telling yourself when the feeling comes up, because you could be further perpetuating the sadness, right? Versus like, okay, yeah, like I really liked them. It just means that they had a lot of qualities that I appreciated. And so that just represents to me that I really value these qualities and want it in a partner. And so that's what I'm going to continue to pursue in finding someone new. And I know that the universe is going to help me find that. And I know that I'm worthy and lovable and deserving of finding that. And clearly this person wasn't my match. Because if they were, we'd still be together, right? And maybe I don't know the reason for why this happened now, but I hope that down the line, one day I'll be able to look back and realize that this was for the best. And it took me to exactly where I needed to be with the person that I was meant to be with. And so when you have thoughts like that, hopefully that feels lighter, right? And your feelings feel lighter. And so you're still feeling that initial sadness, but you're not like weighing yourself down with a story that brings in even further emotions. Okay. The next thing I want to say is find connection and find joyful moments to the best that you can. So find connection. If you need to be by yourself for a little bit, great, do that. But don't totally like block yourself out from all connection in the world, right? So get your needs met, which this is healthy for anyone, whether you're in a relationship or not. Like, get your needs met in different ways, right? Invest in your friendships, invest in, work in your colleagues in those relationships, invest in your hobbies, your interests, in self-care, in exploring things and your curiosities, the things that bring you joy, right? Get your needs met from different places, especially now. You need it now more than ever, right? So really like show up for yourself here and choose connection, reach out to a friend, like go be around people from time to time. Learn to get your needs met from different places and be fulfilled on your own, because then when you do finally meet someone, you'll have it all, right? You're not looking at a person to kind of like fulfill you and satisfy you and like rise you up in the world. Like, you are complete, you are whole, and then now this person just adds to it and expands that goodness. So surround yourself with connection and find joy in little moments, right? So it's our job to, at any time, but especially during a breakup, find happiness and joy and peace as much as we possibly can. It is your job to find as many little moments in your day as possible that feel good, right? And feeling good and happiness is an inside job. It doesn't just happen to us, right? We can pursue it. Right? We can be grateful and find gratitude in the things that we do have and the things that are going well and the things that you love about yourself, right? And like really find those moments of gratitude and let it kind of like wash over you, like that warmth of gratitude and joy to say like, yes, I do feel good. I am grateful for my health, for my friends, for my family, for all those good things. Right? If you believe in law of attraction, which I definitely do, we don't attract what we want. We don't attract even our thoughts. We attract who we're being, i.e., we attract what we're feeling. So if you can feel into feeling thoughts and good feelings, then we will attract more and more good into our life, right? So it's our job to find that goodness in little moments every day, right? So I remember in my past breakup, like the normal things that made me happy, which was like just being in my routine, like meditating, working out, reading, going out with friends, wasn't really bringing a ton of joy in the moment through this breakup. So I had to find other things. And so I was just so diligent to try as many new things as I could to kind of break apart and give me some relief from that grief. And one day I was just walking in Central Park and I found the ramble, and I was like curious, and I was like, what are all these like birds that I've never like seen in the Northwest or Northeast? And I was like looking them up, and all of a sudden it like transpired into this like curiosity and like joy that I was like interested in. And I like ran into these bird watchers, and I became part of this bird watching community, and we would go hang out at like 7:30 a.m. on every Tuesday, go for these long walks to learn about birds and see all these cool different birds and like hummingbirds and butterflies and all these things in the park. And that was like my favorite part of every day that I went out to bird watch. It was my favorite part of the day, and like I felt joy for just like a small part of my day every time I went out, right? And so it's your job to like try to find as much of that intentionally as you can. Okay, another thing is to find the lessons, right? So what did you learn from that relationship? If this relationship or what happened or this breakup was meant to show you something or meant for you to experience something, what do you think it was, right? Like sometimes the universe wants us to learn something, and we wouldn't have learned that if it didn't put us in a really uncomfortable position, right? Because it knows like maybe we wouldn't have done that work, right? To like learn this or see it had it not put us in this position, right? So what are those things that you think potentially you're meant to see and learn, right? Sometimes when we, ask for flowers, the universe gives us rain, right? Like how could this like be the rain that actually ultimately gives you the love life that you want eventually, right? Like how is this serving you? How is this actually working for you? And it kind of reminds me of the parable of the Chinese farmer, which if you haven't heard of it, look it up. But it's essentially to say like, who's to say what's good luck or bad luck, right? Because you don't know what's around the corner. So keep that in mind. And I'm not trying to minimize, how painful or sad breakups can be. But I do want you to get something out of it and something that you learn, so that you can be a better self or attract what is you're meant to attract and be in your future. What else? Yeah, to add on to that, for those that struggle with self-worth, if someone broke up with you and rejected you, like our work is to love ourselves and feel amazing no matter how many times someone else doesn't see it, right? So one lesson could potentially be maybe like the universe is sending people to reject you as many times as possible for you to like look inward and say, their rejection has nothing to do with me. I'm amazing. I'm a catch. I'm beautiful. Like if they don't like me, that's their problem. Like, okay, fine. They're looking for something else. Let them go find it. I'm going to find my match and I deserve it. Like whether they like me or not has nothing to do with me, right? So that could be a potential example of a lesson to love yourself and choose yourself. I also suggest for a lot of my clients, like this is a great time to kind of reevaluate your values and your priorities and what you're looking for in a partner. So, My guess is, well, depending how much time you were in that relationship, maybe what you are looking for has changed, right? You've changed, right? So it's time to reevaluate like who you want to be as a single person again, right? Like what are your goals? What are your the qualities that you want out of life? What are your values? What are your pursuit? What do you want life to look like for you moving forward, right? Who do you want to be, right? So that can guide kind of your actions and what you value moving forward. But also, like, what do you want in a partner? Given everything that you experienced with this past person and what happened, you can reevaluate, okay, are the things that I wanted before still the things that I value and want in a partner? Or are there new things that I've learned that I really need and want to be fulfilled, right? So create a list of like your top 5 values that you want to share with a partner. Maybe it's like health, maybe it's, emotional intelligence, maybe it's, someone who can like have deep talks with me, who wants to travel, who has the same religion or definition of, compatible with finances, so on and so forth, right? What are those things that you want? And also, like, look at those things every night. Like, put it in a place where you see it every day, or you read it in like the notes section of your phone, like every night before bed. And like, what you focus on expands, right? So the more you focus on these qualities that you want, the more you're going to attract people that already have these qualities like into your life, right? And if you're someone who likes to visualize, which I love doing and is great for manifesting, if you believe in that, which I certainly do, and has contributed to a lot of the things in abundance that I've received in my life, visualize like already being with that person with all the qualities. How would it feel for you to be with a person with those qualities, like sharing the same interests and compatibility? Like really feel as though you already have it and you're already in it, right? And so you're like developing the muscle of like being that person who already has that and is that. Yeah, and for if anyone like kind of took a hit to their self-esteem, create a list of like all the things you bring to the table, all the things that like of the reasons like you're a catch, right? Like kind of develop that self-confidence, like go back out there and know that like you're the full package, right? And also check in with anything that you're like carrying from that breakup, or anything that you made it mean, or any limiting beliefs that potentially arose from that relationship. So things like, I can't really get what I want. Relationships are painful. People just want casual relationships. They don't want commitment. Or, I can't really find someone that's has everything that I want in a partner, right? Like catch these limiting beliefs, because those are really insidious, and our beliefs impact who we attract, right? So if you don't like who you're attracting, check in with what you're believing, right? What thoughts that you're telling yourself, what you believe is possible for yourself. And yes, like it could just be timing. It could be past wounds that are blocking you, right? So, this is what I help my clients with, to kind of figure out what are all the things that are potentially blocking you from bringing in that person that you really want and that relationship that you are meant for and want. But yeah, reevaluate, check in. I don't want you to, because you had a really bad breakup, all of a sudden put your guard up, and maybe you're going out and like going through the motions of dating again, but you're not really fully feeling safe to be seen and vulnerable and putting your guard down, and creating a safe relationship. Because that, if you are doing that, you might actually attract emotionally unavailable people too, right? Because you're starting to become a little bit emotionally unavailable because of that pain. And a lot of times my clients will do this, on a subconscious level, where they're like, no, I am dating, I'm being open, right? But in like emotionally, they're really not, right? So really process what you're going through, really let yourself grieve, be kind to yourself. It is hard, right? Sometimes, and be gentle and soft and kind with yourself. And this is you. I'm sending you so, so much love. And if you want to work on what potentially contributed to that breakup, or the people that you're attracting, or the patterns that you're experiencing. I would love to help you to try to figure that out so that we can remove those blocks so that you can bring in what you want with ease. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I love doing these kinds of longer form content. I hope you guys got something out of it. And please, continue to chime in or tune in for my future videos. Well, I will do more Q&As, more information on topics on dating, relationships, attachment, connection, communication tools, and more. And I will also be sprinkling in personal stories here and there so you can get to know me better, and in case it resonates with anyone and helps anyone at any moment. So feel free to subscribe so you don't miss a video. Okay, thanks. Bye.